Welcome back once again. You are listening to the Credit Authority. And this week we have the amazing Dana Flanagan, a serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, creative. And now, what I want to do is deep dive into your business finance. Like, you are now on fire. And what happens is that I can say this for myself, one thing leads into another. And it's not that you're giving up one thing to get into something else. You've started to do something over and over, and you found a niche, and probably you found a new niche that is exciting to you.
Mhm.
It's There's nothing better than learning something, and challenging and going through the motions. So right now you have been on fire with a ton of high business funding transactions. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that business and how you got engaged in that space.
Yeah, well, so I've always been interested in private equity, venture capital, the luxury space, which is kind of goes hand in hand. I wanted something that, I wanted to try something new, feeling a little bit burnt out with real estate. The market has changed a lot. I know I don't want to be doing open houses until I'm 70 years old. So I wanted something that was lucrative, that I could do from anywhere. And that was exciting. And really, these really big projects that I see all over, I'm like, how do I get involved in that? So I started working, as we mentioned before, with family offices and high net worth individuals, more on the real estate side of things with my real estate background. And then I started going to these events because it all, like you said, it all does go hand in hand,
Mhm.
private jets, yachts. And I tend to be around a lot of that in South Florida. And the family office space is very intertwined with private equity and venture capital and that investment space. And I started getting invited to a lot of these events around the country. As far whether it's a jet event or Jets in Capital or, investing in this or sports and entertainment, all sorts of different high net worth events, family office events. And I started going and again, creating relationships and really getting to know people in that space and having conversations. I think I spent a good 6 months having, I'm not kidding, 7 to 9 Zooms a day with new people that I met on LinkedIn, that I reached out to with a heartfelt message, and that I researched them first to see if they would be a good connection. I'm not just firing from the hip. And creating these relationships and getting to know people over Zoom. So basically, like, mass networking, but it's exhausting. Someone may say, gosh, 8 to 9 Zooms a day, I don't have time for that. Right. A lot of people don't if you have a full-time focus. But what I did is I had to give up something, which was constantly prospecting for real estate listings, to prospect for other things that were going to lead me somewhere else. Where that was exactly, I didn't know. I know I wanted to be working on big projects. I wanted to learn from some of these people. Where that led me was um, people were coming to me asking, I met a lot of people that provided funding. And so a lot of people were coming to me with their real estate transactions first, multifamilies, hotels, resorts, and developments, looking for funding. And so I started going to all these different firms. And this one particular firm stood out, and the guys were absolutely great to work with. They were able to get the job done. They were responsive. They were friendly. They have a huge background, over 40 years in banking and hedge funds and the stock market. And I mean, you name it, these guys are brilliant. And I had some other friends in the business too, but some of their businesses were very one-dimensional. And I wanted to be able to provide the most amount of services to people looking for funding or partners or, whatever they were looking for. I wanted to be able to help them. So I started working with this firm out of Boca in South Florida, called preipo.com, globalliquiditynow.com are the two websites. We focus on a lot of different things, but right now, my focus is growing the debt side of our business. So people that are looking for capital in the form of debt, we do equity, but right now we're focused on debt. And our minimum is roughly, we like to kind of stay 1 million and up, but we don't really have a maximum. And we are in 27 countries. We can fund any project. It does not have to be real estate. So we just did an oil gas deal. Startups, I mean, you name it. We do bridge loans, convertible debt, So if someone's looking for capital for their business, they can absolutely reach out to me and I can let them know if it's a fit for us. But it's been such a blast. It has been what I've always wanted to do. And I will say, when you try something new, you're going to fail forward probably multiple times. And I have tried other things and I'm like, that's not really for me. I don't really, that's not really something that I want to focus on after you kind of get into it. And then you get into something that you really love and it changes your life.
It does, and I love that message as well. First of all, I commend you because I think people don't pay enough attention to the fact that in order to grow, you have to leave something behind.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks you were just lucky. How many times have somebody said to you,
Mhm.
"Well, Dana just happened to step in it." They're not
Mhm.
looking at the hours and the sacrifice of what goes into making those relationships. So when the time comes that you are successful, it's because you've earned it. Right? So
Right.
I think a lot of times people don't pay enough attention to that. I know a lot of times people will say things to me like, well, you're just lucky or you're just smart or it just happened for you. And I'm
Mhm.
trying to explain to them, it doesn't just happen. We literally, I will be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll be working my normal day or getting up at 5 in the morning to schedule my day so that by 7:30, when the rest of my team is jumping on board, my agenda for them is built out. So my entire day, which may look like I have nothing much going on, is filled like you with
Mhm.
back-to-back appointments, meeting people, flying around. Um, and I think social media allows us to use that to our advantage and to our disadvantage.
Mhm.
And I think more importantly, I have been watching the projects that you're working on. So, how has the finance part helped you with your real estate? Has there been a direct, can you say you've been in it long enough for you to see a direct correlation?
Um, I would say, I focused the majority of my business in real estate was residential. So I would say there's probably not a direct correlation with those two. I'm
Mhm.
sure there will be maybe somebody that's selling a luxury home or a connection that needs to be made across the country or across the world. I think my experience in real estate has really helped to um, have me understand how to put deals together, to follow up, to basically develop business and to close a sale. So I think the series of events that happen in a real estate transaction are very similar to the series of events that I'm doing now in um, private equity and venture capital. What is so important is the follow up, and it's a numbers game. How many people are you going to go after? Or build those relationships with, or follow up with, or reach out to see, or, what are you going to do to bring those sales in? And I find that there's a lot of people that have paralysis by analysis, where it's, let me learn everything that I can and let me research everything and then I'll get into it. And look, I learn every day. I still don't know everything about this business. And I think anybody can say that about any business that they're in. I mean, well, didn't know about that, but now I do, because things are ever evolving and they're changing. I think that, my experience with a sale going together and then potentially falling apart is it's prepared me for no matter how much these sales are. I mean, some of these are into the billions. And all of a sudden, up, those guys walked. They weren't a good fit or they didn't have the right paperwork or whatever happens, the deal fell apart. And I'm used to that because that's happened to me time and time again in real estate. And I never look at the commission number. I never look at it as, oh my gosh, I just lost whatever, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I didn't lose it because I didn't have it. And so I see people that take these things personally and they get so distraught. And until it's closed, it's not closed. So I think that that is a very, it's set me up for understanding how the process works and to not get too excited.
I love it. I love it. Well, with that in mind, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. Once again, we are speaking with Dana Flanagan.